Whoa, whoa, hold your horses there, little buckaroo. We still have a few things to go over before you jump in that cursive handwriting saddle. Hey everyone, this is CJ of CJ's Creative Studio. Welcome to the second episode. That would be episode 2 of Vulgar Cursive. So what is the series about? First and foremost, it's about writing legible cursive. It's not about any particular style or anything like that. It's about legibility beyond all else. It's also about being practical about this whole cursive handwriting thing. It's a method of handwriting. It's a tool, nothing more, unless you want it to be. In the first episode, we talked about how to hold your pen or pencil, or quill or reed or whatever. So now that you know that, what we need to talk about is what to write with. What you write with is really up to you. As I showed in a previous video, you can use just about anything. Ballpoint, gel pen, rollerball, pencil, automatic pencil, quill, it doesn't matter. As you're going to be doing a lot of practicing, that is, if you're willing to put in the time to improve your cursive writing, then my suggestion is to go inexpensive, as well as to choose something that will allow you to write without a lot of effort. Because of that, I encourage you to stay away from ballpoint pens if you have a better option. Writing doesn't generally require you to press down hard enough to emboss the paper. All you're doing is leaving a mark on a piece of paper. That doesn't require the strength of Heracles. Of all common writing implements, the ballpoint pen is the most difficult because many don't have good ink flow. Some do. Gel pens are better. Some can be just as hard to write with as ballpoint pens, but others can write very smoothly. And then you get roller balls, which are filled with liquid ink, as well as fountain pens, which, as a rule, desire a light hand. As for pencils, just use something that isn't going to break on you all the time. I prefer writing with mechanical pencils, almost always with a 0.5 millimeter lead, as it suits how I like to write. But if you like to write larger than I do, then a 0.7 millimeter lead is fantastic. If you want to go traditional and use a wooden pencil, that's great. You can sharpen it by hand, with a sharpener, or with a knife, or however you want to do it. It doesn't really matter. I'd recommend a medium to soft lead like HB, aka the number 2 pencil. In general, you can write on regular copy paper or on lined notebook paper or anything that you get in a regular sort of composition book. If you use a fountain pen or some roller balls, you might prefer using a better quality of paper. That's when you would buy something from Rhodia, Clairefontaine, or something else of similar quality and cost that plays well with liquid ink. While you're learning and practicing, it isn't at all necessary to glam things up like that. In the previous video, I talked about how to grip your pen or pencil. The question often comes up in regards as to how to actually use it. A lot of people see me writing in my videos using my fingers and my wrist and ask me why I don't use my entire arm. They were taught that they had to write with their arm. Here's the deal. Something that humans are very good at is fine motor skill. We are adept at making very small movements, especially with our fingers. Movements such as, for example, writing. You use your fingers to effect the delicate movements letters require, but not just your fingers. If you use fingers alone, you will end up with very tired fingers indeed, and after a period of years, the possibility of other problems. so you also use your wrist. Your wrist isn't nearly as precise as your fingers for making individual letters, but it is very good at helping you control the strokes and the loops and to maintain the rhythm of writing. Your shoulder comes into play when you are writing large. We're talking on the order of tens of centimeters large, as well as when you're doing impressive calligraphic movements. Because your shoulder isn't as good at the very fine details, its gross movement can give you a straighter line or more graceful curve in those instances. And as for the elbow, well, it's that thing in the middle that connects your wrist and your shoulder. In terms of writing, again, unless you're doing something very large, it really isn't that big of a participant. And that's the deal. Your fingers are for the details. Your wrist is for the larger normal-sized letter forms. When you get large, that's when you use your shoulder and your elbow. A lot of instructors will tell you to do something different. I hear all the time about people who are being told to write with their full arm. I'm not telling you to go against your instructor. I am telling you that if you aren't getting out of your instruction the results that you want, you can try something different. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't. But if your goal is to have legible handwriting, then go with what works so far as it's an option for you. That said, don't go running to your instructors and say that CJ said that this is the only way to do it or that they are wrong. I'm not saying that. Let me say that again. I am not saying that. I'm just here to encourage you toward your goal and to offer some options as to how to get there. Something I should mention is writing styles. As is very obvious by my past videos, I like English roundhand, or my version of it at any rate. I personally don't care for Spencerian or its more mainstream alternatives that are commonly taught in schools, or were commonly taught in schools, such as the Palmer method and the Zener-Bloser method, or the Danielian method. And that's just largely a function of aesthetics. I never embraced that style of writing. If you like it, great. You'll have that many more examples to practice from. For Vulgar Cursive, I'm going to try to be somewhat generic, but be warned that I'm probably going to have a very strong roundhand slant. This series is about how to practice. It's about making choices. It's about changing your mind. But mostly it's about being focused so your handwriting can be easily read, more or less. A lot of our focus in the beginning is going to be about the small letters or minuscules. The reason being that there is a remarkable consistency between them among the various writing styles. They are the essence of cursive and what makes that kind of handwriting legible or illegible as the case may be. As for the capital letters or majuscules, that's where we really get to have some fun and you get to add more of your own preferences. Unless you are very specifically trying to write exactly in a certain style, it's the capital letters that really help you personalize your handwriting if that's what you want. And so, in the next episode, we're going to start with the actual writing of marks onto paper. It most assuredly won't be everything at once. It'll be different explorations meant to help you understand what it is you're doing. And hopefully that'll be clearer when we get to those episodes. At times, it may seem like I'm going over the same ground, albeit in a different way. Not everybody finds that spark of insight from any specific example. Sometimes they have to be explored in different ways. It's all good. So in preparation for that episode, please make sure that you have your writing implements and paper and, if necessary, ink available and ready to start work. Hopefully this will be an interesting journey for all of us. So please click the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and also the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. If you like the content I produce, please check out my Patreon page. Every bit of support is appreciated. And until next time, as always, be creative and keep on practicing.